Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day, I'm Sarah Williams. Thanks for joining me for episode 67 of Write with Love. I'm recording this on Friday, March 29th, 2019. Australian author Lilliana Rose is on the show today. Lilliana is a contributing author in Outback Heroes, which is the multi-author box set we put out last month. So I spent a couple of days in Perth this week watching Miles Pollard perform the audio for my novel, The Brothers of Brigadier Station. He's an incredible actor and I loved working with him. We didn't actually finish because we were having such a good time, so I'll be Skyping in next week for another studio session. I found the experience really educational, and on the second morning I woke up really early because I had Miles's voice in my head, so I sat down and worked on The Legacies of Brigadier Station. That one is Lockie's story, and of course he was one of the main characters in The Brothers of Brigadier Station. So I wrote for about 4 hours, and I have to say that it's some of my best work. It was an amazing experience to watch Miles's process and just his talent. Oh, and I don't think I embarrassed myself too much, though we haven't finished yet and we didn't get to the steamy stuff, so there's still time. I did get to interview him for this show, and that will air in a few weeks. You can check out my behind-the-scenes photos on my Instagram and Facebook page at Sarah Williams Writer, and you can also follow Miles on Instagram. He's at Miles Pollard, and Miles is with a Y. There's a new giveaway up on the Write with Love Facebook group. A paperback copy of Lisa Bow's book, Playing for Time, is up for grabs, but you have to get in quick. So go to Facebook and search Write with Love Podcast for all the details. Outback Heroes is the latest multi-author box set from Serenade Publishing. This time I've teamed up with fellow Aussies Suzanne Cass, Mel A. Rowe, Lilliana Rose, Cheryl Wright and Philippa Neffrey-Clark. And this time the digital-only box set is wide. So if you prefer to buy on Apple Books, Google Play, Kobo, Amazon or one of the other awesome platforms, then you can log in now and buy Outback Heroes for 99 cents. So if you love Australian rural romance, then you will love these 6 full-length rural stories. My best-selling novel, The Outback Governess, is included in the set. If you would like to join me at the trendy beachside town of Noosa on October 18th till 21st, 2019, I am hosting a writer's retreat. It's strictly limited to 6 people and we will be writing, talking craft and having fun. I will also show you how to make the most out of your advertising budget and boost your sales. All the details are on my page, sarahwilliamsauthor.com. If you're an author who would like to be a sponsor of the show or get a shout out, send an email to me, sarah@serenadepublishing.com. or become a patron at patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author for more information. Right, time for the interview with Lilliana Rose. Enjoy the show and I'll see you next week. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show I'm chatting to Lilliana Rose. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me.
No worries. Lilliana is one of the other 5 authors I am collaborating with to produce the multi-author box set, or I think omnibus is the correct term, and it's called Outback Heroes and is on all the digital retailers now for only 99 cents, but it's for a limited time, so you have to buy it quick. So Lilliana, I would love to start chatting to you with you telling us about yourself and your writing journey so far.
So when I was growing up, I grew up on a farm in rural South Australia, and I had to catch the school bus into school in the morning. So I'd sit and I'd write stories in an exercise book that Mum gave me, and it just sort of started from there. So it's something that's always been with me. And then I sort of grew up, and you focus on your studies, you sort of forget about that a bit. And then I went into the sciences and did some genetics, and the writing was always sort of whispering to me in the background. And then later, as the years went on, I decided I'd write a book while I was teaching, which is hard work. So I think it took a year and it was dreadful, but I love the process. And it's that point where I sort of, the last 8 years or so, haven't looked back, and I've really gone gung-ho with my writing. And I've just, when I, about 10 years ago, I had a time in my life where I could have the time and space to write. So I just tried everything. So I did some poetry, I did short stories, I wrote in fantasy, sci-fi, romance, a bit of horror, and just had a lot of fun unleashing my writing. And what's emerged from that is that I write in a few different genres, which I really totally enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's sort of that in a nutshell.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I just want to clarify that there is some noise in the background there, and that's because you've got a gorgeous little baby who's supposed to be sleeping.
That's right. I know. And I just started answering the question, and he was calling out.
Oh, right.
I'm like, maybe if I just ignore him for a few seconds. And he has. He's now playing his music.
Yes, he'd probably be really soothed because he can hear you. So he's like, oh, Mum's in a meeting. Let's be quiet.
That's right. I had a word with him. He's about 10 months. So
yeah.
I had a word with him. It's like, just a few minutes, and I've got this little job to do.
Yep, that's it. Now, I'm a mum of 4. I've been there. I've done that. I'm sure lots of people listening just don't mind. I hope they don't mind. So I'd love to talk to you about your different genres. So steampunk, fantasy, and rural romance are among others.
I know. I seem to be a many person, or a person that has lots of different perspectives or aspects to myself, and not just one, which is, I don't know, spice, like variety is the spice of life, perhaps. Yeah. So, and I guess it also reflects my background, because I grew up on a farm. So writing rural romance, I can draw on a lot of that experience, and it is something that's close, like a genre close to my heart. And who doesn't love a romance story anyway? And, having people fall in love, it's all very cool. But along that journey, I had my science background with genetics, and I guess that's where I got a bit of a sci-fi influence. And I don't know why, but I just love steampunk, and I love the Victorian era. But I think that's because of it's an era in the late 1800s where science and the metaphysics were combining, and society was learning a lot more from a scientific point of view rather than a metaphysical or a superstitious point of view, and that sort of overlap makes it very interesting to draw upon as a writer, I reckon, and mix things up a little bit.
You have a cover of one of your books, one of your steampunk?
I do. So this is Change of Heart,
awesome.
which is my steampunk, and on the front is Vicky. Yeah. And thinking of spice, she wants to spice up her life, and she's married. And her husband, George, is a doctor, and he's just got too much time for his patients, like a lot of doctors do. And so she's a little bit bored and doesn't really know what to do in life. It's a little bit of alternative history, so I've made up that there's a war that has happened, but it's very fictitious war. And so it's about these people sort of starting to build their lives after a war, and it's got steampunk elements in it, and it's got Vicky trying to work out what she wants to do. And what happens is that her husband ends up incredibly sick and is about to die, so she's got to try and solve that mystery in order to try and save him and save her marriage.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I might stop there so I don't give too much away, because it's the start of a series. And it's a fun read. It's got a bit of mystery in it. It's got some steamy sex in it, and it was a lot of fun to write. And it's just a fun, quick read as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And then so you do fantasy as well. Tell us. I liked what you were saying about this bringing your background with genetics into it, and I'm just really interested. Just give us a plot line that's got something to do with that.
Oh, I haven't written my genetics background into any of my stories. Is that what you were sort of asking?
I was hoping, but that's cool.
I know, I haven't. I've been meaning to. But it's just that point in my head, my science brain kicks in. It's like, oh, no, that's not right. Whereas I've got to suspend that a little bit when I'm writing. But I'm sure I'll do it eventually. Yeah.
I guess you can probably know too much.
That's right. I think so. At that point, it's like, oh, I know a little bit too much. I haven't actually written any genetics at all. I have written poems with genetics. And DNA in it, and that's goes back to I've switched to the rural, and I was going to talk about fantasy, but that goes back to my upbringing on a family farm, where you're isolated, so the family unit's very strong, and it was just my way of bringing in the genetics. You sort of look at your parents, and it's like, oh well, I've got my DNA from them. So, I've got my short legs from Dad because, he's got a bit of a Cornish background, but then Mum's got more Cornish blood in her than Dad. So maybe it did come from her. And Dad went white in his early 20s from dark hair, and so did I. So that's all right because my Nordic heritage then shines through. So, that's where I've written some science that's coming through my poetry, oddly enough.
That's
but
really
it's got to watch this space because it will happen eventually.
I'm envisioning a Jurassic Park sort of, genetics.
I wish I wrote that.
Don't we all?
I know, that is so cool.
My oldest son, he's almost 12 now, but he's been obsessed with Jurassic Park for at least the last 5 years. And we've done lots of tripping to the Queensland outback where there's fossils and museums and stuff, and he always gets a big kick out of that. And he's not really that good at science, so he might not go into that, but it would be interesting to see if he did. So.
You never know, but that's very cool that he's interested. What can I say? I loved dinosaurs when I was in primary school. We did this whole project on it, and I had this big mask that I made. And then we sang a song, and it's like, the best days.
Thank God they're not around anymore.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes, just watch Jurassic Park.
That's enough. Doesn't need to be real. So we'll get into your rural romances. Obviously, I'm a rural romance writer, and you are as well. And Outback Heroes is the multi-author box set that we're in. So your book in this that you've contributed is called Best in Show. And you've got a cover. Show us the cover. I've got a
cover. I love this cover. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I do. I love that cover. It's gorgeous. I'm going to have to pick your brain later on where you get your images from, but we won't do that on the show. Not everyone needs to know.
A whole lot of luck. I've got some good people.
It is like that, isn't it? Best in Show. So obviously now that is not the cover of Outback Heroes, that is the cover of Best in Show, which you can buy, readers. You can buy individually. Probably cost more than 99 cents though.
It does cost a little bit more than 99 cents. So yes, if you want it cheap, head off to buy Outback Heroes.
That's Outback Heroes, 99 cents, 6 stories. Great value for a limited time only. Okay, I probably promoted that enough for this episode. So tell us about Best in Show. Give us a little bit of book description.
Okay, so Best in Show is set in Adelaide at the Royal Adelaide Show. So when I was growing up, I did not behave at all like my characters. They're very horny at the show. I'll just say that, sorry. Because I'm quite sexy. I'm all very buttoned down in real life, seriously. And just sort of compartmentalising that. I'd go to the show every year because my dad would exhibit merino sheep at the show, at the Royal Show. And so that was a big yearly event for us on the farm, and it also gave me a taste of the city. And I think too, part of what I write a lot in when I write rural romance is that I've grown up on a farm, and then I'm now living in the city near the beach, and it feels like I've come to a different world. And so that's sort of what I draw on when I write these stories. So I've drawn on my experiences at the Royal Show, and I've got a farmer, Max, and he's a bit of an alpha, and he's a little bit older. He's been burnt in love, and he's all a bit sour, and it's easy to happen because he's on the farm, which is he's struggling with money because his ex-wife fleeced him with a divorce. And so you can sort of feel a bit sorry for him, but he is, it can be a bit difficult. And then along comes Zoe, who's very young, sassy, and she just busts his balls, and she's very much a city girl, and what that represents. And it's sort of like a two worlds collide a little bit, and you've got some two strong characters having some good time, but then starting to realise in a very short time that they've actually got some emotions towards the other person, and then they slowly start to change and fall in love.
I love it. I was so excited reading it when I was putting the compilation together. I'm just like, oh my god, that's so cool! I love it. It's a really, really good story, so I can highly recommend it, of course.
Thank you.
And so we'll just continue with the rural romance. You've got another one, or no? You've got a few more, don't you?
I have a few more. In the same vein as Best in Show, there's Grand Parade and Stealing the Show, and they're also set at the Royal Adelaide Show. And again, in Grand Parade, I've got Megan, who's a photographer, and it starts off, she's her first real job, so she's really eager to do well, and she's got to photograph animals, and she's clueless, and she's got no idea, and she gets too close to the bull, to one of the bulls, and gets kicked in the head. And so the farmer of the bull, he's just like, oh my god, and feels so sorry for, well, not sorry for her, but responsible, and starts to looks after her during the day, and then they slowly start to fall in love. And then Stealing the Show is a little bit different, because the main character, Tully, he's a dancer. He grew up on the farm, but he's been squeezed out of the farm because he's got some brothers, so, there's no room for him to be on the farm, so he's studying law, and to earn a bit of money, he dances. So they have a show at the Royal Show, like a performing arts, and he's in that, and he bumps into this lovely farming girl, and then they start to fall in love.
Oh, lovely.
There's a theme of falling in love here.
There is. Well, they don't call them rural romance for nothing. So.
Yeah, that's right. And I do have another one which is different again, Chasing Dust Clouds, which is the very first rural romance book that I wrote. And I've just got a brand new cover, so I can't even show you because I don't have a print copy. And I've revised the content. And that's about a female farmer, Dusty, and how she falls in love with Blaze, who's an accountant from the city.
Oh, awesome.
And I love that one because Blaze is not so much an alpha, more of a beta, but he's still a strong character. And he's just at the farm and he wants to help because he's made some very big mistakes, like he ran over one of her sheep and killed it. So it's a real bit of a darker start, that one. And so then it's sort of his journey of trying to make amends in a world that he doesn't understand, and he might be strong and stronger than Dusty, but he just keeps blundering and messing things up and making it worse for her on the farm.
Yeah, right. Oh, that sounds awesome. So it's definitely lots of books that we can read from yours.
I know.
There we go.
I can't read any of them.
No, he doesn't. Read them to sleep. There you go. Now, you also do some poetry, and you've done some a compilation, I guess, of poetry called Fading Farmer, which I'm just really interested to hear more about.
Yes, so Fading Farmer, and I don't have a print copy here to show you, is my collection of poetry of my experience of growing up on the farm and my relationship with my dad. My dad died over 16 years ago now, and my mum 10 years ago. So Fading Farmer is a bit of that relationship I had with Dad, and it's about a photo, and I got the photo and I actually wrote the date on the back of this photo. So it was one of the last photos I took of Dad. But it wasn't that close to when he died, maybe a year, 18 months. And he's standing in a field of wheat, and he's very proud, and it's up to his waist. My dad wasn't very tall, and he's just got this huge grin on his face because I've spent the day with him, and I'm living in the city at this point. So, for me to come back to the farm and spend a day with him is a big deal. And he's also very proud that he's got the crop, and it's a year that's doing well. And that image has always stayed with me very strong. And it's just, it's called Fading Farmer because that image is fading over time, and Dad has gone and has been gone for so long. And, it's interesting now too because you can't take the country out of the girl. It's still here in me, very strong and alive, but it is fading a bit as well because I'm living a lot more in the city. And I wanted to record some of the memories and some of the events that happened when I was growing up because they're unique.
Absolutely.
And they're unique to me. But, we hear a lot about Banjo Paterson and the rural side of things in Australia, but that was at a time past. And I'm not so sure that we hear it more now in a modern voice, and I wanted to add that into the literature as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you. And I held on to that. That was a very special book. And I held on to it for about 2 years. And then it's like, I need to release this out into the world. So it was one of those books where it's, my heart and soul is definitely in that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous. So we'll move on because we're running out of time. But Cultivating Creativity is a non-fiction book you've recently put out.
That's right. And I've got a print cover.
There it is.
And
gorgeous.
This is my... Thank you. I'm very happy with this cover. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I can't believe I've written this book. This is the first book I've written with Bubs. So while he was sleeping, I was off writing. And so this has been a big labour of love, and I've enjoyed it and I've loved it. And because I've been writing for so many years now, I've just got all this experience that I just want to share with people. And I think that's where I draw on my teaching background and having nearly 10 years of teaching. I've done secondary schools, primary schools. I've even done TAFE, where I've mentored TAFE students as well for the last 5 years. So I just wanted to bring in all of my experience and set it out so that it can help other people on their writing journey, but not so much if they might not want to get published, but maybe they want to write a poem like I've done to remember things from their childhood, or maybe they want to record family stories, which is something else I'm doing as part of my PhD in creative writing. So I put it out there to help all sorts of people get started on their writing journey. And the writer's journey is very unique. So I've focused on helping them find what will work best for them and not what works for everybody. Because everyone's journey is very different with it. Yeah. And as part of that, it stemmed off. So I'm offering a 6 week online course with it as well, to as a little offshoot to give a bit more support to help people on their writing journey with that as well. And I've got a few 1 week courses coming up, which it's just a lot of fun, and I like helping people. And you can't take the teacher out of me either, apparently, which is a bit embarrassing, but it's in there along with my inner farmer.
That's gorgeous. Oh, I love it. And I met you a couple of weeks ago up here in Sunshine Coast, and I was flipping through this book, and I meant to come back and buy it. I didn't get a chance, so I'll have to get you to send me one. But I just loved it. I was looking at it going, oh, that's so cool. So cool, because I've done something kind of similar, but you've done a way better job. So,
thank you. Thank you. I'm going red. Really.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
It was a lot of fun, and to put it all together, and it was really good self-reflection for me, and to see, oh my God, I have developed as a writer. I have come a long way, and part of that writing journey I've realised too is it's hard because you need to be alone to write, but then you need to be with other people to be inspired as well, and to be healthy, and it's trying to work out that balance. And I think artists in general, it can be quite tricky, but I've gone into painting a bit as well. And I find it hard, full stop. But what I notice is I'm in a room with other people, we're all painting together, and I can't talk with everyone because I'm used to being alone and creating all the time. So the writing journeys are very unique to writers, as well.
Absolutely.
So they need a bit different support, a bit extra support sometimes. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic, and I really think that's fantastic that you're doing those week-longs and mentoring and those sorts of things. That's brilliant. We all need more help. I wish this sort of thing had been around when I was starting out.
I know. I wish that too, and I think that's a big reason why I put it out there. And it is hard when you're starting out. I suppose it's like any area, but with writing you get so much advice, and a lot of it can be conflicting sometimes, because what worked for one author might not actually work for another author. And so as a newbie, you're like, oh, what do I do? I'm not so sure here. And it's all about finding your own way and what brings you joy as well. So if you just want to journal because that's what you like, then that's fine too. That will help. The book will help as well, get the creative juices. And it's all about mindfulness and mental health. I've lost both of my parents, and I found journaling quite helpful and therapeutic. And it's, I can just sit and write and get those emotions out of the way, and then get on with life.
That's it. Oh, fantastic. So what are you working on at the moment? Are you doing something more non-fiction, or are you going back to your rural romance?
Well, I have started a rural romance, continuing along in the same vein as Best in Show. But I have flipped back into paranormal romance, and I've just polished up and got up on pre-order for 99 cents, called Beltane Bliss, and it's part of my Pagan Pleasures series. So there's 5 books coming out this year, and it's got a bit of magic in it and a lot of romance, and it's just bringing in a little bit of paranormal side, and a bit of fantasy and back into, which I haven't written for a little while, which we didn't get to talk about a lot of, but yes, I enjoy that fantasy as well. My first book I wrote had dragons in it. It needs a lot of help before it goes out into the world, but anything to do with a little bit of magic and psychics and energy work and crystals, I'm back in that world with Beltane Bliss, which has been a lot of fun to write.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that was fantastic. Tell us where we can find you online and keep up with everything that you do and release.
Okay, so you can find me online at lillianarose.com, and you'll find all my social media links on there.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye.